The sun cast a golden glow over the vibrant garden, where the laughter of children danced through the air like a sweet melody. Delicate blooms swayed gently in the breeze, their fragrances mingling to create an intoxicating scent of spring that filled the lush surroundings. Lady Isadora Pelham, a striking young woman with cascading chestnut hair, knelt on the soft grass, her attention wholly captivated by her younger sister, Clara. The two siblings were lost in a world of games, their giggles echoing amidst the chirping of birds and the rustling of leaves. Before we go on, can I be real with you for a second? I pour my heart into every story I share here, and honestly, I'm just trying to reach 1,000 subscribers. It's not just a number, it's proof that stories like these still matter. If they matter to you too, hit subscribe, turn on that bell, and help me keep these tales alive. Your support means everything. Now, let's continue. As Isadora watched Clara scamper around, her heart swelled with love and protectiveness. Yet, beneath her joyful facade, a shadow of unease loomed, one that had become a constant companion in her life. She felt a familiar tug at her collar, and her fingers instinctively traced the edge of her neck where her birthmark lay hidden beneath layers of fabric. It was no ordinary mark, it was a royal insignia, a symbol of lineage that held secrets and destiny. She had learned from her mother that this mark was more than just a blemish, it was the key to a world she had been taught to keep at arm's length. Isadora, come play with me. Clara's bright voice pulled her from her thoughts, and the older sister forced a smile, her eyes sparkling with feigned enthusiasm. Of course, my dear, she replied, rising to join Clara in her frolic. The moment of joy was fleeting, as Isadora felt the weight of her hidden identity pushed down upon her like a heavy cloak. She needed to disguise her birthmark, to shield it from prying eyes, but how could she do that without drawing attention to herself? With a quick glance around the garden, ensuring that no one was watching, Isadora reached for a handful of dirt. She smeared it over the mark, attempting to mask the evidence of her heritage. The earth felt cool against her skin, contrasting sharply with the warmth of the sun on her back. As she rubbed the dirt into her collar, a knot of anxiety tightened in her stomach. What if someone discovered her secret? What if her life changed forever in a moment of careless exposure? As Isadora resumed her play with Clara, laughter mingled with her thoughts. She cherished these moments in the garden, away from the scrutinizing gazes of society, but each fleeting moment was tinged with fear. The burden of her identity felt heavier than ever. The fear of being discovered loomed over her like a specter, reminding her of what she might lose if the truth came to light. Her sister, oblivious to the turmoil within her, twirled around, her skirts billowing like petals in the wind. Clara's innocence was a stark contrast to Isadora's internal conflict. She watched her sister with a mixture of affection and sorrow, wishing that Clara could understand the gravity of their circumstances. Why must I hide? Isadora whispered under her breath, the question echoing in her mind. Why must I bear this mark alone? The sun began to dip toward the horizon, casting an amber glow that painted the garden in hues of gold and crimson. It was a beautiful sight, yet Isadora felt a chill creeping into her heart. The weight of her secret pressed against her like an anchor, holding her back from the freedom she so desperately desired. As the sky shifted, a sense of determination began to stir within her. Isadora knew she must confront her fears or risk losing everything she held dear. Looking around, she spotted a cluster of children playing nearby, their laughter ringing like music. The scene was idyllic, a tapestry of youth and vitality, yet it was a world that felt just out of reach for the young lady burdened with a royal secret. She inhaled deeply, drawing strength from the beauty around her. The garden had always been her sanctuary, a place where she could escape the chaos of expectation and judgment. However, the very haven had become a reminder of what lay hidden beneath her collar. Isadora, look! Clara exclaimed, pointing toward a butterfly that fluttered by, its wings shimmering in the fading light. The sight brought a smile to Isadora's lips, a brief reprieve from the storm brewing within her. She watched the delicate creature dance from flower to flower, embodying the very essence of grace and freedom. If only she could be like that butterfly, untethered from her past, soaring into the unknown without fear. Shall we follow it? Clara said, her eyes wide with excitement. Isadora nodded, feeling a spark of joy amidst the turmoil. As they chased the butterfly together, Isadora's heart raced with a mix of exhilaration and dread. The garden, once a sanctuary, was becoming a battleground of conflicting emotions. Could she really hide her royal birthmark forever? Would there come a day when she could embrace her true self without fear of judgment? With each step, Isadora felt the tension within her ease, if only slightly. She was determined to protect her sister and their way of life, but she also craved the freedom that came with embracing her heritage. The sun began to set, drenching the garden in a warm caramel glow, and Isadora knew that the time for decisions was drawing near. The path ahead was uncertain, but she felt a stirring of hope, a spark that perhaps one day, she would not have to hide who she truly was. As the last rays of sunlight dipped below the horizon, Isadora's gaze lingered on the butterfly, a symbol of transformation. She would navigate her fears, and maybe, just maybe, she would find a way to live in the light without fear of the shadows cast by her birthmark. The grand ballroom of Ashford Manor was a stunning spectacle, a symphony of elegance and opulence befitting the height of the Regency era. Crystal chandeliers hung from the high ceiling, casting a warm glow over elegantly dressed guests who twirled and glided across the polished floor. Laughter and the soft strains of a string quartet filled the air, creating an atmosphere of joyous celebration. Amidst it all stood the Duke of Ashford, a figure who commanded attention with his charm and magnetic presence. Dressed in a tailored coat that accentuated his tall frame, the Duke moved through the crowd with an air of confidence that drew the eye of many. His deep-set blue eyes scanned the room, each glance heavy with purpose. Though he engaged in conversations and exchanged pleasantries with the nobility, his mind was elsewhere. He was here on a mission, one that would not rest until he found the woman he sought, the true heiress marked by a royal insignia. Rumors had reached his ears of a young lady who bore such a mark, one that had been hidden for years, remaining largely unknown to society. The Duke's heart raced at the thought of unveiling the mystery surrounding her identity, the lost fortune that awaited the rightful heir. He leaned closer into the murmurs of gossip swirling around him, eager to catch any mention of the girl who might hold the key to his quest. As he mingled, he overheard snippets of conversations that piqued his interest. "Did you hear about the lady who arrived from the countryside? They say she has an unusual birthmark." The voice trailed off, only to be replaced by another. "I believe she is quite lovely, though modest in her demeanor. Perhaps we will encounter her tonight." The Duke's ears perked up, the mention of beauty and modesty intertwining with the rumors of a hidden identity sparked a flicker of hope within him. He observed the guests with keen eyes, searching for anyone who could fit the description. Though the night was filled with dazzling gowns and masked faces, his attention remained focused on the possibility that the woman he sought was among them. A sense of urgency pressed him forward. The longer he took to uncover the truth, the more he risked losing the fortune that could change not only his life but the lives of countless others. The ballroom seemed to hold its breath as he approached a group of ladies, their laughter infectious as they discussed the latest fashions and gossip. The Duke, practiced in the art of charm, joined in the conversation, effortlessly turning the topic toward the ladies' families. "And what of your kin, my dear ladies? Do any possess the audacity to bear a royal mark?" He smiled, his gaze flicking back and forth, searching for a sign, a glimmer of recognition. One woman, adorned in a lavender gown, tilted her head thoughtfully. "I believe there is talk of a girl from a distant estate, quite lovely but somewhat shy. Her family is little known, yet whispers abound about a birthmark concealed beneath her collar." The Duke's heart quickened, and he leaned in closer. "Ah, do you know her name?" "Isadora, I believe. Lady Isadora Pelham, though I doubt she would ever flaunt such a thing." The woman's eyes sparkled with mischief, unaware of the weight her words carried. Isadora. The name echoed in his mind, igniting a sense of urgency and intrigue. The Duke's thoughts raced as he pictured the young lady, uncertain yet captivating, perhaps unaware of the significance of her lineage. Could she truly be the one he had been searching for? Just then, the music swelled, and the dancers began to swirl around him in a captivating display of grace. He felt the magnetic pull of the dance floor but remained rooted in place, his thoughts consumed by the mystery of Lady Isadora. If he was to uncover the truth, He needed to find her and learn more about the birthmark that could change everything. As he continued observing the crowd, a sudden movement caught his attention. Out of the corner of his eye, he spotted a figure near the entrance, a flash of golden hair and a delicate stature that seemed to draw the gazes of others around her. His breath caught in his throat. Could it be her? The young lady stood slightly apart from the others, her demeanor reflecting a mix of hesitation and curiosity. He saw her glance around, a fleeting moment of vulnerability, as if she were aware of the eyes upon her but unsure of her place among the elite. The Duke's heart raced at the sight. He knew he had to approach her, to discover if this was indeed the sought-after heiress. With each step toward her, he felt the weight of his determination. This chance encounter could not be squandered. He had to make a connection, to unravel the mystery that surrounded her existence. As he reached her side, his voice dipped into a warm, inviting tone. "Good evening, my lady. You seem lost in thought amid such splendid company. Might I have the pleasure of joining you?" She turned to him, surprise flickering in her eyes, and for a brief moment, the world around them faded. In that instant, he saw not just a young woman but a potential partner in the unfolding tale of destiny. Her cheeks flushed, and she seemed at a loss for words, which only served to heighten his intrigue. "Lady Isadora, is it not?" he ventured, testing the name on his lips, the weight of it resonating deeply within him. "I have heard whispers of you tonight." Her eyes widened, a glimmer of apprehension mingling with something unspoken. Perhaps it was fear, or perhaps curiosity. The Duke could sense the tension, the uncharted territory they were about to navigate together. Would she reveal the truth behind her birthmark, or would she continue to hide in the shadows? As the evening wore on, the Duke remained by her side, captivated not only by her beauty but by the secrets she held. The ballroom danced around them, filled with laughter and music, but in their small world, the stakes were quietly building. Unbeknownst to Isadora, the very thing she sought to bury could lead to the unearthing of her true identity, and the Duke was determined to uncover every layer of her story. The grand ballroom shimmered under the soft glow of countless chandeliers, each crystal prism casting a gentle radiance upon the elegantly dressed guests. Lady Isadora Pelham stood amidst the swirling colors and laughter, her heart racing in her chest. The music floated through the air, a delightful melody that contrasted sharply with the anxiety tightening her stomach. She felt like a beautiful flower in a vibrant garden, yet surprisingly out of place among the dazzling socialites who danced and conversed effortlessly. Clad in a gown of soft green that accentuated her delicate features, Isadora couldn't shake the feeling of being an imposter. Her family had been invited to this luxurious affair, but she felt as if she was an unwelcome guest in a realm that belonged to others. Around her, laughter erupted like fireworks on a summer night, but all she could hear was the distant thrum of her own insecurities clamoring for attention. As she caught a glimpse of herself in a polished mirror set within the ballroom, she noticed a hint of the royal birthmark peeking from beneath the lace of her collar. A crest resembling a royal insignia marked her skin, a secret she had carried her entire life. The mark, once a source of pride in her early years, became a weight she felt compelled to hide. In that moment, a rush of unease swept over her, and without a second thought, she discreetly smudged dirt over the area, attempting to conceal what she feared would reveal her true lineage. Her younger sister, Beatrice, noticed the quick movement and sidled up to her, eyes wide with curiosity. "What were you doing, Isadora? You mustn't ruin your beautiful gown with dirt." Isadora forced a smile, brushing off her sister's question with a wave of her hand. "Oh, just a little mishap with my dress, my dear. Nothing to fret about." She felt a pang of guilt for lying, yet she knew that sharing the truth about the birthmark would only lead to more complications. Keeping her secret was a burden, but it was one she had grown accustomed to carrying. "Isadora!" Beatrice exclaimed, drawing her attention as she pointed toward the dance floor. "Look at the Duke of Ashford. He's so handsome." Her eyes sparkled with admiration as she caught sight of the tall figure moving gracefully among the guests. The Duke, renowned for his charm and charisma, was indeed captivating. His every movement radiated confidence, and his laughter carried an air of allure. Isadora felt a flutter of nerves as she noticed him glancing in her direction. Had he seen her? Did he sense the turmoil she tried to mask? For a fleeting moment, their eyes met across the bustling ballroom, and Isadora's breath hitched in her throat. In his gaze, she felt a mixture of intrigue and warmth that sent her heart racing, yet fear rushed back to her mind, urging her to look away. She knew that if he recognized her, it could lead to unpredictable consequences. The Duke was on a quest to uncover the true heiress, and Isadora was acutely aware that she did not fit the role he sought. As the dance continued, she found herself retreating further into the shadows, avoiding the vibrant circle of social interactions. The laughter and merry chatter became a backdrop to her swirling thoughts. What if he discovered her birthmark? What if he realized she was more than just a lovely young lady? These questions consumed her mind as she clung to her secret. Isadora. The voice drew her attention back to the present, and she turned to find Beatrice gazing at her with concern. You seem distant. Are you all right? I'm fine, truly, she said, forcing another smile. Yet deep inside, she felt the weight of her secret pressing down on her, threatening to suffocate her. The evening wore on, and the Duke's presence loomed large in her thoughts. She could not shake the feeling that the evening held something pivotal, a turning point was approaching, and she was caught in the center of it all. Suddenly, the music shifted to a waltz, and the couples began to twirl gracefully across the floor. Beatrice, with youthful enthusiasm, tugged at Isadora's hand. Come on. Let's dance. It will lift your spirits. Isadora hesitated, her heart pounding at the thought of stepping out into the open. Yet the joy in Beatrice's eyes compelled her to relent. With a deep breath, she allowed her sister to pull her into the swirling throng. As she moved to the rhythm of the music, she felt a momentary escape from her worries. For a brief instant, she lost herself in the dance, twirling and spinning in graceful arcs. But as she looked around, her gaze inevitably drifted back to the Duke. He was watching her with an intensity that sent butterflies flitting in her stomach. The briefest flicker of recognition passed between them, and despite the swelling crowd, she felt as if they were the only two people in the room. Her heart raced, a mix of excitement and dread. Did he see through her facade? As the song approached its climactic end, he began to weave his way through the dancers, inching closer to her. Isadora's pulse quickened, and she instinctively recoiled from his approach, feeling the urge to retreat again into obscurity. Just as she thought to slip away, their eyes locked once more, and he smiled, a genuine, inviting smile that made her world tilt. Before she could think rationally, he was upon her, extending a hand with an air of purpose. May I have this dance, Lady Isadora? Her breath caught in her throat, and she glanced at her sister, who beamed with encouragement. With a tremor of uncertainty, Isadora reached for his hand, feeling the warmth of his palm envelop hers. The world around them faded, leaving only the sound of her heartbeat echoing in her ears. As they began to dance, she was engulfed by the delicate balance of fear and exhilaration. Here she was, twirling in the arms of a man she had only ever admired from afar, yet she felt the weight of her secret like a storm cloud hovering above her. Each step brought her closer to both temptation and the truth she desperately wished to hide. Would she let her secret unravel in front of someone so powerful? In that moment, everything shifted, and the question loomed larger than ever: could she protect her identity while also exploring the feelings awakening within her? The morning sun cast gentle rays through the lace curtains, illuminating the modest chamber shared by Isadora and her younger sister, Beatrice. Isadora sat at the edge of her bed, gazing out of the window at the vibrant garden where they had played the previous day. The flowers danced in the breeze, their colors vivid against the backdrop of green. Yet, amid the beauty, Isadora felt a heavy weight settling on her chest. It was a feeling she could not shake, the memories of last night's ball still haunting her thoughts. Isadora, you seem lost in thought, Beatrice said, breaking the silence. Her voice was innocent and laced with concern. She brushed a strand of hair behind her ear, a gesture that revealed her own youthful anxieties. What troubles you? Turning to her sister, Isadora forced a smile. Oh, it is nothing, really. Just the remnants of a late night. Yet, the truth dug deeper than mere fatigue. The wavering connection with the Duke lingered like an echo in her mind, a haunting reminder of the secrets she carried. The deeper truth of her identity, the birthmark concealed beneath layers of dirt and fabric, pressed heavily on her heart. "You were so lovely last night," Beatrice continued, her eyes sparkling with admiration. "I could hardly take my eyes off you. What if the Duke notices you again? Wouldn't that be splendid?" The mention of the Duke brought a rush of anxiety. Isadora shook her head, trying to dismiss the idea. "Beatrice, you mustn't encourage such thoughts. He is a man of high standing and has no reason to look my way. But you're so much more than you think. You are a lady of substance, Isadora. He would be lucky to know you." Beatrice's enthusiasm was sweet, but it felt like a tightening noose around Isadora's neck. "Lucky?" Isadora echoed, her voice barely above a whisper. The weight of her secret rose to the surface, and she turned her gaze back to the window. "I am nothing but a hidden truth in a world that values lineage." Her fingers grazed the collar of her dress, a reminder of the mark that identified her as something greater than herself, a mark she wished to bury in dirt. Meanwhile, across the estate, the Duke of Ashford stood in the grand library, an air of determination surrounding him. The evening's festivities had only heightened his resolve. He pored over a collection of documents laid out on the mahogany table, each one highlighting the lineage of eligible young women in search of the lost heiress. Whispers of a royal birthmark had reached his ears, tales that painted shadows of a mystery he was determined to uncover. "Your Grace, you seem preoccupied," remarked Thomas, his closest confidant and advisor. He leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, eyes narrowed in scrutiny. "What is it that you seek amidst these dusty tomes?" "The birthmark," the Duke said, his voice steady. "I can sense there is more to this than mere coincidence. I need to know the identity of the young lady who bears it." His mind drifted back to the enchanting woman from the ball, her laughter ringing in his ears. Something about her captivated him, something he could not yet articulate. "Perhaps we should visit the Pelhams. They are known for their stature in society," Thomas suggested, a hint of mischief in his eyes. "A lady who draws your attention might very well be the one you seek." The Duke considered the idea, his gaze drifting toward the window overlooking the lush gardens. "I will find her," he affirmed, a sense of urgency igniting within him. The connection he felt with Isadora could not be dismissed as mere whims of attraction. It felt woven into the fabric of fate itself. Back in her room, Isadora confided her fears to Beatrice. "What if he discovers my secret? What if he learns about the birthmark? I couldn't bear the thought of being cast aside for who I truly am." Her voice trembled, revealing the raw vulnerability beneath her composed exterior. "Then tell him. Trust him with your truth," Beatrice exclaimed, youthful earnestness fueling her words. "You are brave, Isadora, more than you realize. You must not hide who you are." The idea rang in Isadora's ears. Could she truly unveil her hidden self? What if the Duke was searching for the very thing she hidden with dirt? Could she take that leap, or would the weight of her past crush her under its burden? As she pondered this, the sound of voices drifting from the garden caught her attention. Curious, she peeked through the curtain to see a pair of gentlemen engaged in conversation, their postures casual yet intent. One of them was unmistakably the Duke, the very man who had sparked a storm of emotions within her. "Isadora, come see," Beatrice urged, pulling her back to reality. "Perhaps the Duke has come to call." Her heart raced as she looked at her sister. "I cannot bear to face him again." Yet, the pull of curiosity was too strong. What if he was indeed searching for her? What if the mystery around her was the very answer he sought? With a deep breath, she steeled herself, the conflict within her swelling. "I must go," she finally declared, determination mingling with fear. "I don't know what I will say, but I have to confront this." As she hurried to prepare herself, Isadora's thoughts swirled. The truth loomed ahead, and she felt the tension of her concealed identity threatening to unravel. Would she have the courage to reveal the mark that made her both a target and a treasure? The day was fraught with uncertainty, yet her heart yearned for clarity. Her sister's encouragement echoed in her mind as she made her way outside. The garden awaited, and with it, the Duke, a man who might very well change her fate forever. Isadora stood at the entrance of the grand ballroom, her heart racing as the sounds of laughter and music drifted through the air. She felt an overwhelming sense of dread, yet a pull of curiosity drew her closer. The elegant chandeliers sparkled above, casting a warm glow on the finely dressed guests who swayed and twirled across the polished floor. Despite the beauty surrounding her, an internal tempest raged within. She was acutely aware of the dirt still smeared on her collar, remnants of her desperate attempt to hide her royal birthmark. As she stepped into the throng, her sister Beatrice stayed closely at her side. "It will be fine, Isadora," Beatrice whispered encouragingly, offering her a reassuring smile. "You simply need to enjoy yourself. The Duke won't be looking for someone like you." Isadora's heart sank at her sister's words. It was true, she feared that while the Duke moved among the elite, she remained an outsider. Though the Duke had looked at her with a glimmer of admiration at the last ball, she couldn't shake the feeling that it would only take one slip for her carefully maintained facade to shatter. Beatrice tugged at her arm, pulling her deeper into the lively crowd. "Look, there he is," she exclaimed, her voice a mix of excitement and mischief. The Duke of Ashford stood tall, exuding charm and charisma. He conversed animatedly with a group of elegantly dressed ladies, and Isadora couldn't help but notice the way he commanded attention, his smile lighting up the space around him. "Do you think he remembers me?" she asked quietly, a tinge of anxiety creeping into her tone. "Of course. You are unforgettable," Beatrice teased, though a note of sincerity underscored her words. "Just be yourself." As they approached, the Duke's gaze swept over the room, and for a fleeting moment, it locked onto Isadora. Time seemed to freeze as their eyes met, and she felt an inexplicable connection, a jolt of electricity that coursed through her body. But before she could fully process her feelings, she averted her gaze, her heart pounding fiercely in her chest. A storm of doubt surged within her. What if he discovered her truth? The very essence of her identity hidden beneath layers of dirt was a dangerous secret. "Lady Isadora," the Duke called, his voice cutting through the chaotic symphony of chatter and music. The tone was warm and inviting. "It is a pleasure to see you again." He approached her, his eyes glinting with genuine interest, causing her stomach to twist in knots. "Your Grace," she replied, curtsying slightly, her cheeks flushed. "It is an honor." "Honor?" "No, the honor is mine," he said, and she was struck by the sincerity in his voice. "I trust you have been well?" "I have, thank you," she managed to say, forcing a smile while her mind raced. He was too close, too attentive. What if he saw through her disguise, recognized the mark she so desperately concealed? "Shall we dance?" he proposed, extending his hand toward her with an air of confidence that made her heart flutter and tremble. The room around them faded into a blurred backdrop as she weighed the gravity of his offer. Dancing with the Duke could mean unveiling her truth, an act she was not yet ready for. She began, but the words felt trapped in her throat. The music swelled, urging her to respond. As she hesitated, her sister's encouraging nudge pushed her forward. "Yes," Beatrice urged, her eyes sparkling with delight. "It will be splendid." With a shaky breath, Isadora placed her hand in the Duke's, succumbing to the pull of the moment. He led her to the center of the ballroom, and as they began to dance, she tried to focus on the rhythm, attempting to drown out the doubts swirling in her mind. But as they moved together, the connection between them felt increasingly electric. His presence was intoxicating, and she found herself momentarily forgetting her fears. "You dance beautifully," he remarked, his voice low and teasing, as they twirled amidst the other couples. "It is as if the world fades when you are in motion." Her cheeks burned at the compliment, sparked by the warmth in his eyes. "You flatter me, Your Grace," she replied shyly, but deep down, she craved to believe the words. "Isadora," he said, a hint of seriousness creeping into his tone, "there's something about you that intrigues me. I cannot help but feel there's more than what meets the eye, a depth that beckons to be uncovered." His words sent a shiver down her spine, and she instinctively stepped back, her heart hammering. How could she reveal her identity, the truth of her birthmark? The very mark that set her apart as something extraordinary? "I assure you, I am quite ordinary, she deflected, feigning a lightness she did not feel. Ordinary? I can hardly believe that, he said, his eyes studying her intently. You carry a weight, a secret, perhaps? Before she could respond, a flurry of laughter erupted nearby, momentarily distracting the Duke. The air was thick with tension, and Isadora felt the heat rising in her chest. Her thoughts spiraled around the notion that she had to maintain her secret, to bury it beneath layers of dirt. If he discovered her birthmark, it would change everything, her chance at happiness, her newfound connection to the Duke. As they danced, the crowd around them seemed to blur, and Isadora felt an indescribable pull toward him. But could she trust him? Could she truly allow herself to be vulnerable in front of someone who represented everything she feared? Her heart raced as she pondered the impossibility of her situation, feeling caught in a web of lies and hopes. Isadora? The Duke's voice broke through her spiraling thoughts, pulling her back to the present. What troubles you? It's nothing, she replied quickly, but her eyes reflected uncertainty. Then let me ease your mind, he urged, his voice soothing. You need not hide from me. We could face everything together, if you would allow it. His words settled around her like a soft blanket, awakening the dormant courage within. She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of his gaze. Perhaps this was her moment to step out of the shadows and embrace who she was, dirt and all. But as she opened her mouth to speak, the moment slipped through her fingers, lost amongst the swirling music and laughter of the ballroom. She was both terrified and exhilarated, caught in a dance that could lead to her ultimate truth. As the evening progressed, the atmosphere in the ballroom shifted dramatically. The music that had once felt light and jubilant now seemed to pulse with an undercurrent of tension. Isadora's heart raced in her chest as she stood across from the Duke, who was watching her with an intensity that made her skin tingle. She could feel the weight of his gaze, as if he were searching for something hidden deep within her. Isadora, he said, his voice cutting through the cacophony of laughter and chatter surrounding them. I sense there's something you're not telling me. His expression was earnest, a mixture of curiosity and concern that made her want to flee and confide all at once. The young woman swallowed hard, her thoughts racing. It felt as though her secret, her very essence, was laid bare before him. If only he could understand the burden she bore, the royal birthmark concealed beneath layers of dirt and fabric, marking her as something more than the ordinary girl she presented to the world. It was a mark that could change her life, but also one that instilled a deep fear of exposure. What could I possibly hide from you, Your Grace, she replied, attempting to maintain an air of innocence, though her heart betrayed her. Nothing, perhaps. But I would not be so sure. Secrets have a way of revealing themselves, don't they? The hint of a smile played on his lips, yet his eyes remained serious. This was no idle flirtation, he was searching for the truth, and she could not let him find it. As they danced, the world around them faded into an indistinct blur. The music swelled and ebbed, and Isadora felt herself caught in the rhythm of the moment, her mind racing, her heart longing for connection, but her spirit weighed down by fear. The Duke was not just a man of influence, he was a hunter, one searching for the true heiress who held the royal mark that she fought so hard to conceal. I've heard rumors, he continued, guiding her with a gentle pressure, that whispers of lost fortunes lead back to a hidden heiress. Perhaps you've heard the same? His probing words sent a shiver down her spine, and in that instant, she was torn between the desire to be honest and the instinct to protect herself. I cannot speak to rumors, Your Grace. They are merely sounds in the wind, without substance. Ah, but you see, I believe some whispers carry more than just noise, he said, leaning closer. The warmth of his breath brushed against her cheek, sending her heart soaring and plummeting in equal measure. And I cannot shake this feeling that you are entwined within this mystery. Isadora's breath hitched, and she felt a sudden urge to escape, to run away from the truth that was closing in around her. Surely, Your Grace, there are many young women at this gathering who could easily fit the description. Perhaps, he replied, his voice steady, but none have captivated me quite like you. There is a strength about you, an allure that intrigues me beyond measure. She felt her cheeks flush at his words, her mind awash with confusion. What if he were to discover her secret? Would he still look at her with such admiration? Or would she become just another face among the crowd, dismissed for her hidden identity? The music slowed, and a hush fell over the room as the Duke pulled her closer. "Isadora," he said softly, "what if I told you that finding this heiress is more than just a matter of wealth? It's about a legacy, about rightful belonging. And I can't shake the feeling that you are part of that legacy." Her heart raced, caught in a tumultuous storm of emotions. What if he was right? What if she was indeed the person he sought, the very heiress weighed down by the burden of her secrecy? Isadora felt as if she were standing on the precipice of revelation, the choice to leap into the unknown swirling around her like the fabric of her gown. "I cannot claim what I do not know," she finally whispered, her voice barely audible against the backdrop of the ballroom. The truth hung between them, heavy and unyielding, yet she clung to her decision to hide. Suddenly, a raucous laughter erupted nearby, jarring her from her thoughts. The spell was broken, and reality surged back into focus. She stepped back slightly, gathering herself. "I must attend to my sister," she said, her words tumbling out before she could think them through. "Isadora, wait," the Duke called after her as she turned to escape the weight of the moment. But as she moved away from him, she felt a surge of both relief and regret. It was not just the decision to hide her identity, it was the realization that perhaps she longed to share her truth, to be seen and understood, to be more than just the dirt that covered her royal birthmark. In the corridor, she paused, pressing her back against the cool wall, heart pounding. The night air was thick with anticipation, and she felt the thrill of the chase, the Duke, ever so close, yet she remained out of reach. How long could she keep this dance up? Her sister's laughter echoed from the ballroom, a reminder of her own precarious situation. Isadora's mind was a whirlwind, torn between the allure of the Duke's affection and the need to protect her secret. She took a deep breath, feeling the cool stone against her skin. Perhaps it was time to confront her fears, to consider the possibility of revealing her truth. But as the echo of footsteps approached, she knew she had to remain vigilant. The stakes were too high, and the game had only just begun. Turning back towards the ballroom, Isadora steeled herself for the next encounter, her heart bracing against the uncertainty that lay ahead. Would she be brave enough to face the Duke again? Could she confront the legacy embedded within her, or would she continue to hide behind layers of dirt and deception? Only time would tell. As the echo of the revelation reverberated through Isadora's mind, she stood frozen, her heart racing. The truth hung heavy in the air, a tangible force that threatened to unravel everything she had carefully constructed around her identity. The Duke, with his piercing gaze and the weight of his expectations, seemed to look right through her, into the secrets she fought so hard to keep hidden. "Isadora," he said, his voice a low rumble, filled with a mix of awe and uncertainty. "You are the one I've sought. The birthmark, it corresponds with the insignia of the royal lineage." His words were both a declaration and a plea, as if he were searching for validation of his own feelings amidst the confusion. Tears brimmed in her eyes, a mix of fear and hope swirling within her. This was the moment she had dreaded, yet somehow yearned for. The moment where she would either be embraced for who she truly was or cast aside for the very thing that made her unique. "I didn't want to be found," she murmured, her voice trembling. "I thought hiding was the only way to survive." The Duke took a step closer, a determined glint in his eye. "But why? Why would you deny your heritage? You belong to a legacy that awaits you, a life rich with purpose and possibility." The intensity of his gaze ignited something deep within her, a longing to be more than just the dirt that cloaked her identity. With every fiber of her being, Isadora felt the weight of her decision pressing down on her. "It's not that simple, Your Grace," she said, her voice gaining strength. "My past is fraught with danger, revealing myself could ruin everything. I fear what might come of it." "You are not alone in this," he insisted, his tone shifting from assertive to tender. "I stand by you, ready to face any obstacle that dares to threaten you. Together, we can navigate this uncertain path." The warmth of his sincerity enveloped her, and the barriers she had built around her heart began to crumble. For the first time in a long while, she felt the stirrings of hope breaking through the shadows of her fears. But what if I am not the true heiress you seek? She challenged, her voice soft but filled with conviction. What if your quest leads to disappointment? A flicker of frustration crossed his features. Disappointment is the least of my worries if it means losing you. Isadora, you must understand that my feelings for you transcend the search for a title or wealth. I admire your spirit, your courage. You are much more than your birthmark, but it is a part of you, a piece of your identity that we must embrace. In that moment, Isadora reached for the courage she had stashed away for so long. With trembling hands, she brushed her fingertips against her collarbone where the birthmark lay hidden beneath layers of dirt and fabric, the emblem of her royal heritage. If I am to reveal myself, I must prepare for the consequences. Society can be cruel to those who are different, and I fear their judgment. The Duke stepped forward, his hand gently clasping hers, grounding her in the present. Then let us face it together. In a world that often seeks to divide us, we can create our own narrative. We will not be defined by expectations, but by our choices. Their eyes locked, and in that shared gaze, an unspoken promise formed. Isadora felt the room shift around her, the atmosphere charged with newfound possibilities. Will you truly stand by me? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. With every breath I take, he replied, his words laced with unwavering conviction. I will not waver in my support, nor will I allow your fears to dictate your future. As the music swelled around them, a soft waltz filling the ballroom with elegance and grace, Isadora felt a rush of empowerment. She had hidden for too long, it was time to reclaim her narrative. Then I shall reveal myself, she declared, her voice stronger now. Not just to you, but to the world. It is time I embrace who I truly am and step into the light. With a deep breath, she initiated the first step towards her true identity. The thought exhilarated and terrified her in equal measure, but the warmth of the Duke's hand, steady and reassuring, encouraged her forward. They turned towards the guests, and as they stepped into the spotlight together, Isadora felt her fears begin to dissipate. The crowd parted, and she felt the weight of their gazes upon her, scrutinizing yet curious. The whispers began, but this time, she stood tall, her heart beating in rhythm with her newfound courage. No longer would she hide behind layers of dirt and deception. Instead, she would embrace her story, her truth, and the Duke standing beside her. With each step they took, Isadora recognized that the journey ahead would be riddled with challenges, societal expectations, and the lingering whispers of gossip. Yet, the promise of love and acceptance surged within her, igniting a fire that she believed would guide her through the trials to come. As they reached the center of the ballroom, Isadora lifted her chin, feeling the weight of her royal legacy settle comfortably on her shoulders. The past may have shaped her, but it would not define her. With the Duke at her side, ready to champion her cause, Isadora Pelham stepped into the world she was destined for, ready to embrace a future filled with love, identity, and acceptance. And in that moment, she realized, the dirt that once concealed her birthmark was not just a barrier, it had been a veil disguising her strength, waiting to be shed. With the Duke's unwavering support, she had finally found the courage to reveal her true self, ready to forge a new path together.